Hi, it's Kieran here. Here's another walkthrough video. The situation is that Cthulhu captures lots of humans who walk upon its goat lands. It's not very happy with them. And this is a list of humans it's captured over the last year, and it's taken various survey questions. Two of the things it's asked is their age and how much they like goats. As you can see, it's captured quite a few people, so be careful around Cthulhu. You really don't want to get caught up in this mess. The task is to figure out how much, the average statistics for how much people like goats between a certain age range. So what Cthulhu wants to do, it wants to be able to type in, say, 20 there, 30 there, and hit run, okay? And then it'll see data here in count and average for the count of the number of people between these ages and the average. And this is inclusive, so from 20 up to 30, including people who are 20 and including people who are 30. Okay, so that's the task. So let's get to it. I've got my code over here, and I'm going to, as I usually do, put in some comments to remind myself what I have to do. By the way, I also have a browser here with this particular lesson open in case I need to refer to it, which I probably will, and I'll probably copy and paste some code from that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to need to do is erase the old output. So this is erase the old error messages, because we're going to validate, of course, the minimum and maximum. All right, I'll get typing right eventually. All right, so we're going to erase the old output. Then I'm going to validate the minimum. All right, and we're going to validate the maximum. Validate max. All right, and then we're going to have that error check so that if there are any errors end. So we'll I'll just put a keep going. Okay. So if if this value and that value are okay, then we're going to start processing, and I'm going to initialize a count and total, initialize stuff, which is a great name for that. Count and total. I really don't need to do this, but I usually do just partly as documentation, just to remind myself that they need to be 0. Then I'm going to create a range object, and then we're going to loop over the range. Okay, I'm going to that's going to accumulate the. It's going to test, and each time through the loop, test whether a record is in the age limit that Cthulhu has given, and if so, then we're going to add to count and total. All right, and then I'm going to compute average and output. So the way I started this is to imagine what the solution is going to be like, what the code is going to be like. And I went through and added comments for all of the big pieces. As I go through, I'm going to work on each piece of this independently. That's so that I don't have to keep much in my brain at any particular time. So we're going to erase the old output first. Okay, we're going to get min and validate that, get maximum and validate that. We'll get to here. If there are any errors here, we're going to stop the program. Otherwise, we're going to keep going. We're going to initialize some stuff, make a range object, and then loop over that range. So take each row in that range. And for each of those rows, I've indented this because this is going to be a for loop. And inside that, and we indent all the code inside a for loop. Then test whether a record is in the age limit. So Over here, I only want to analyze data that's between these two values. Then I've entered it again because I'm predicting this. I'm thinking about how the code's going to look. And there's going to be an if statement here, and I'm going to add to the count and total, and compute the average and output. Right. Okay. So let's get started. I'm just going to get rid of that immediate thing. Now, erase the old output. There's going to be an error message in this cell, maybe an error message in this cell, and the output's going to be down here. So let's get rid of that. Cells. Let's see. The first one is 3.3. I'm going to erase that potential error message, and I'm going to do this. Copy and paste as my friend. I have 2 error messages and 2 pieces of output to erase. So this is going to be, hit insert to go into overwrite mode. That's 4. And this one's going to be, what's this going to be? 10 and 11. And this is 2, insert 10 and 11. Okay, so this says erase cell 3.3, that's that one, which might have an error message in it. Erase cell 4.3, which might have an error message in it. Erase cell 10.2, which is this, where the output will be, and erase cell 11.2. So that's the first thing it does. I'm actually going to save at this point because, of course, computers suck. And I'm going to run this just to make sure that nothing crashes. Hey, so far so good. All right, now we're going to validate them in. And we're going to do this in the usual way. I remember how this code works. I've done it in so many exercises. First we get user input in a string variable. And that's going to be, we're going to get this one here so we can check that. That's cells 3.2. All right. 3.2. All right, I need to declare this variable. Haven't done that yet. Dim as string. Okay. Okay, so that's fine. Now, we want that to be numeric, and it can't be less than 1. All right. So we'll say if not is numeric. And that was control space to give me that list. So if that isn't numeric, user input, then we've got a problem. So we're going to report an error message in cells 3.3, and that's one of the ones we erased up here. Cells 3.3, usual type of error message equals sorry, minimum must be a number. Right. Cells 3.3 dot font dot color, is that how you do it? Equals VB red. Okay, that looks okay. And now we need a flag to keep track of whether there are any errors. So I'm going to make a flag called tDataOK equals no. Need to declare tDataOK. as string. T-R-I-N-G. There we go. And okay, and you're thinking, hey, Kieran, you forgot to initialize that. And I do. I need to set tDataOK equals yes. So we start with the flag being yes. If anything goes wrong, we set it to no. And so down here is where we check that flag to see whether we're going to keep the program running or not. All right, else. I'll put this end if. Okay. Notice I put the end if there just so I don't forget it. I often do that sort of thing. And I'm always indenting as I go. All right, so now that we know that tuser input is numeric, let's put it into a variable called smin equals tuser input. smin, we need to declare that. Dim smin as sangalu. Right, okay. Now remember, it can't be less than 1, right? So we'll say if smin is less than 1, then take this stuff. This is the same thing we've been doing for a while now. Okay, and endif. So now I'm going to test this, but before I do, I'm going to read through it. And one thing I've learned over the years is to, when I write some code, I'm tempted right now just to hit run and see what would happen, but I'm going to avoid that temptation, and I'm going to read through it because it's easier, it's quicker if I catch errors as I read through it than actually have to test it and come back and find those errors. So let me see, cells 3, 2, T-user input equals cells 3, 2, is that right? 3, 2, yep, that's okay. If it is numeric, if it is not is numeric, output an error message, set the color, okay. Smin t equals that same value, okay. If that's less than 1, output an error message, bb rare, okay, that looks okay. So I'm going to save it and see what I've got so far. Let me put an invalid here, an invalid value there, see what error, if we get an error message. Hooray! Victory of Sovngarde! That's a Skyrim reference, in case you're wondering. Uh-oh. Aha! I missed something. See, when it says -2, sorry, minimum must be a number. That's because I copied this code and I forgot to change the error message. Must be at least 1. Okay, save again. Try it now. Okay, there we go. So it's a good idea to write a little bit of code, test it, write a little bit, test it, and so on. I found that problem with the error message, and I knew which piece of code to look in. I just written this. All right, that was the new code I just written, so the error had to be in here somewhere. So you save yourself a lot of time. Also, now that this is right, I can take this and copy it and paste it. But if I hadn't tested that, I would have pasted that error in there as well. So it's write a bit, test a bit, write a bit, test a bit. It's easy to go in small steps and big ones. All right, now the max is going to go in row 4. It's right here, 4, 2. You can see it there. I'm going to hit that one, change all these to 4. I'm going to press the insert key to go into overwrite mode, 4. And this is 4, and that's 4. And that's 4, and that's 4. Okay. And this is maximum. All right. And that's maximum. That's looking pretty good, but it's not quite right here because the rule is a bit different. Turn override mode off. Okay. And this should be max, of course. AX, which I don't think I've declared yet. AX. Okay. So I'm just going to copy that, paste it in. Now I put X, I copied Smax on the clipboard before, and then I copied this declaration line. So of course, Smax is gone from the clipboard, right? Nuh-uh. Well, maybe it is because I forgot to launch Ditto. Oh, it is actually. My mistake. Let me restart Ditto again. I use a clipboard manager called Ditto that remembers what I put on the clipboard. But in fact, I was hoist on my own petard there. We'll have to type it in. Okay, so let's see what we got. Validate min, validate max. Let's see what we got. T-user input, that's fine. Oh, but the test here is different. We have to make sure that Smax can't be less than Smin. That's the test we want. It can be equal to, because that'll give Cthulhu a way to test for a particular age, like just the people the opinions of people who are age 25, for example. So if S max is less than S min, sorry must be equal to or greater than the minimum. All right. So I'm going to save that, of course, because computers suck and it hates me and it will want to crash if it can. Okay, so I'm just going to run my eyes down this one more time. User input equals 42. 42, that looks right. Is numeric. Show that error message maximum must be a number, sounds right. So that error message t.ok was no. S max equals that. Here's the rule. Okay, if that is less than that, error message, set the color, run the flag. Okay, so that looks pretty good. All right, so let's go back here, and I'm going to put something crazy in there. Try it. Aha! We've got both the error messages, right? Now let's make this one okay. So I'll make that 3 and run again. Aha! The error message went away. That's because I cleared them. I remembered to clear them up here. And I'll put in a different value. Oh, okay, so we've got 3. Let's put in, say, 2. Uh-oh. Got the right error messages. Maximum must be equal to or greater than the minimum. All right, so that looks okay. Now, if these are correct, so I'll make it 4. Okay, no error messages. So far, so good. Now we need to stop the program if there have been any errors. There's no point, like if I put that, hit run, and then the program keeps running, it'll try to compare these values, like age, with that. And I'll get some sort of type mismatch or some strange error. There's really no point in continuing the program if there are any errors. So that's why we had this this flag here. So if t data okay equals no, then we're going to end the program. There we go. That sounds pretty good. All right. Now we need a count and a total. A count. Let's do the count first. I love to count. All right. Equals 0. Okay, so I'll need to declare them. Control C. I'll copy that. Paste it in twice. Now that I have ditto running, I can do that. And here are the things I put on the clipboard just a moment ago. So I'll bring that in, and I'll replace this one as well. So ditto is very useful. It makes coding faster. So you can copy a bunch of stuff and then paste it in as you go. Clipboard managers rock. They are wonderful things. As I said, the one I use is called Ditto, but D-I-T-T-O. You can, if you Google Ditto Clipboard Manager, you can grab it. If you have one of those strange Mac computers, then Ditto won't work on that, but there are other programs that will. Okay, let's create a range object. The range object, it's going to go from here, from that cell, across and down to wherever at the end of the data is. As Cthulhu captures more humans, then this data will get longer and longer. So we need to make this sure this program works for different amounts of data. Now I could type in that range stuff, but actually I'm going to go back to the website because I know this code is. I remember in this lesson, the code is there somewhere, and it's also should be in the pattern list actually. So if I go to list patterns. There we go. Accumulator. Aha, range. So hopefully we'll do this. Okay, this pattern list, by the way, is a list of different things you've learned how to do. Let's go back to the prior page. There's accumulator, analyzing subsets, create a range, right? find largest and smallest values, the flag pattern that we just used. So if you remember, say, oh, we've got to use a flag pattern, you can go to up here, list, exercises, find the pattern, and you'll have some examples to copy. In fact, let's go down to this one, create a range. I think that's exactly what I want to do. All right, so, right. Aha, okay, so we need to declare something as range, and then set up a range object. So I'll just copy this one, Control K, and go back here, and Control V. All right, now I need to adjust it. This is actually the human data table. This is one about humans. And let's go back to get rid of that. All right, the data actually starts on row 15. So it's in row 15, 1. So it will say, okay, the human data table starts in row 15. Okay, so I'll need to change that. And I'll need to declare this variable, of course. K, up here, dim v, Control V, as range. All right, good. So we've got that. Now, I'm trying to remember how this code works. I need to get some sort of record count or something. I'm vaguely remembering that. I'm going to go back here. Actually, I'm going to go back to that lesson. There it is. There it is. And code. Right. I'm going to show all since I've already read the lesson, and now I'm just going through to find a bit to grab. All right. Oh, right. You got to do something like that because you're going to use this thing in the for loop. It's going to loop over those things. All right. So we'll do that. Number of records equals human data table dot rows count. Now I'll need to define number of records, and it's going to be a single. Now remember, I had put that single thing on the clipboard before. Remember that? So we'll just do that. See how much time having Clipboard Manager will save you? Go back to that, and that's the second one. Ooh, isn't that cool? Seriously, always use a Clipboard Manager. So I've got that. Now, loop over the range. So let's see, it's yeah, right, okay, I remember this now. To number of records. All right, so I'm going to take that, and also we've got this thing at the end of the loop. So I'll just do that. In fact, I'll just take this whole thing. Control K. Go over here. And Control V. All right. Okay. Get fields for the so S number of records, S number of records, S number of records. Okay. Get fields. Now we have two fields. We have, get rid of that for a moment. We have the age of the person and their goat liking rating, and they're not, and they're singles. So age equals R data. It's I actually call it something else. Equals cells record number and then field name. This is to do with the constants. I'll make that field age. This one is S goat like. We'll call that variable. Okay, and that's this thing again. Field goat like. All right. So now I need to declare a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to put all the things I need to declare on a clipboard. Control K, Control K. Okay, I'll do these two things first. These two variables. I'll go back up to here. All right. Let's get that dim. Where was that dim thing? There it is. And I'll get rid of this. I'm going to copy this. Again, sometimes I do this. I use a line as a template like this, paste it in. I can do this as many variables as I want. We actually only have a couple left, and I'll just leave them there, just in case I need them. Okay, so we've got age, and the goat liking. And also I forgot the record number. So I'll do that, control there, paste that in. I'm also, if I think ahead of time, I'll be computing an average, so I might as well, since I'm thinking about it, average. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to declare anything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment this line out in case I need it in a moment. Okay. So get fields. Oh, I need to do field age, and so that's, yeah, declare those column names. What that's let's go back to here. You can see I'm giving the column numbers constants. That's one of the things that will change in business programming, is that you'll have new fields. So Cthulhu won't just measure age and liking. He might decide to put gender in there, or he might decide to put foot size. You know, because Cthulhu is partial to eating feet. So if you have big feet, he might eat you first. So it's constant field name equals something. Okay, I'll just remember that. Put that in the clipboard, and we'll go up here. Put these in. So constant. The age is in column 1, right? And constant. How much the person liked goats is in column 2. All right, so we go down here. So far, so good. All right, I've written a bunch of code since we last tested it. I'm going to test it again. Now, we haven't actually, we don't have any output we can see, but I want to, let me see, what would be a good way to test this? Well, okay, I'm going to keep going until we have some output that we can easily see. One thing I might do, actually, I'll put a breakpoint here. All right, so if I run this, the program should never get to this breakpoint, right? Huh? You say, why? Well, I've made a mistake over in this one, and so the program should detect that, put out an error message, and then stop at that point. So that seems a reasonable thing to test. Hit run. Aha! But if I put something real in there, like 2, oh, did I save that recently? Save. I run it now, we should get down to here. Yay! It passed this test and it got down to here. I'm going to stop the program at this point. Stop. And remove that. So I'm still testing as I go, and it seems it doesn't suck yet. Okay. Okay. So now we need to test whether a record is in the age limit. That was part. I'll just take these two, Control X, and put them up there. So it's going to be, what do you just do? If, so if S age is greater than or equal to the minimum, and S age, Sage apparently, is less than or equal to SMAX. Okay, that is something I want. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to put in the end if just so I don't forget. Okay, notice I typed these things like lowercase. VBA editor recognized that they're actual symbols I've defined, and it fixes the casing and the spacing and so on. So that gives you some confidence that actually you recognize these things. Okay, so the age that came in is greater than or equal to the minimum, and it's less than or equal to the maximum, so it's a value we care about. So I'm going to add to the total and the count. Now what were they? They were, what were those variables? Here they are. Count and total. All right. Hit Control Y to get rid of that extra line. Now let's do count equals count plus 1, and total equals total plus siege. All right. So remember, what we wanted the program to do is to compute the count and average for I'm sorry, that shouldn't be age, should it? Error, 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 error. That should be goat-like. When the age is within this range, okay, then we want the likes goats data for that particular row. So if this was 20 and this was 30, then we wouldn't want this one because that person's age is not within that range. We wouldn't want that one. We wouldn't want that one. These are all old people, so they can just go to hell anyway. Yucky old people. Ugh. Aha! There's one that's in the range, and so we're going to grab this value, and that's one we want to compute statistics about. All right. So let's compute the average now. So S average equals S totale, control space. Well, actually, I've already got that on the clipboard there. Right. Now, we'll output it. So the output, the count goes in 10, 2, and the average goes in 11, 2. So cells 10, I could have copied this from above actually, equals S count, and cells 11, 2 equals average. All right, I'm going to save, of course. Now, let's see if this works. Run. So it says there are 10 people, and their average liking is about 5.56. Okay, let's say people between 30 and 50. Well, the average liking is higher. There are 19 of them, because we have 20 years gap rather than 10. Makes sense, it'll be more. And it looks like they like them more. Let's get the really old people. So 50 to 1,000. So people above 50, we'll run that. Hey, look at that. Now we do have a problem. We might as well fix this. And you can see what the problem is going to be if I type in 7 to 8. Now Cthulhu generally doesn't keep children. It captures them and their parents if they're around, and it returns the children back to civilization after erasing some of their memories. Now what's going to happen here? Well, I know what's going to happen when I hit run. So what do you think? Remember, there are no children in this data set. Overflow? Oh no! I wonder where that was. What could be going on? Well, what's going on is right here. To prove that to you, I'm going to put a breakpoint on there and I'll hit run, and we shouldn't see the overflow error message. So everything's gone just fine. Now I've got locals on down here. Let's have a look at this. So the total is 0, which makes sense because there aren't any kids in the data set, and the count is 0 as well. So what's the, dividing by 0. Now there are, depending on which version of math you use, dividing by 0 is either undefined or infinity. And what VBA is doing, it's infinity. So that's the problem. This calculation is evil when count is 0. So let's fix that. I'm going to stop the program, get rid of that, and I'll say, let's see, how should I do? Okay, we'll do this. Compute the average. I have to rearrange this code a bit. So let's see. have to rearrange the comments a bit too. I'm going to take this line, and we'll always, because this line's fine, right? But then we're going to change what goes in cell 11.2, depending upon what the count is. So if S count equals 0, then cells 11.2 is going to say no data. Else, I'll just put endif just to, because I know I'll need it. Then we can compute the average. Let's do this. Control X, put it in there. Control Y to remove a line, and I'm going to have to change this comment a bit. Control X, and I'll have output count. Can compute a average. No. So we output that no data message. Otherwise, we're going to, well, I kept that, didn't I? Yeah. Compute that and Control Y. There we go. That's better. All right. So I'll save that. I've been hitting Control S a lot. Control S. Also just going to check the indenting while I'm here. So usually my editing is just fine because I'm very careful about it as I go. So we've got run, okay, and everything's indented between that and the end. So good. And every time there's dependent code, so this is all fine. Oh, I can get rid of this line. I don't need that. Control Y. Erase the old output. Okay, every time there's an if, we should go in. The else, we go back out. There's another if, we go back in again. And end if, we go out. And end if, we go out. Okay. If, that looks fine. Here's an if, so we get that. Between the for and the next, everything gets indented. And then this if test, we indent that. There's another if, that's indented. Okay, that's all indented. Okay, so let me run this. Aha! Look at that. Perfection itself. And I'll save that, and I'm ready to turn it in. So, I hope that's useful.